Ohio political news. Here we go. Another Sunday night. That's right. Wouldn't have it any other way. All right, we got a great show tonight. We've got a Moms for Liberty. We've got Hillary Jackson. She's going to be joining us. She is Moms for Liberty chairwoman, Cuyahoga County. And we got some really good stuff to talk about. There are sexual allegations going on at the Parma City School District. And we got to get to the bottom of it, so to speak. Let's see what we got out there. Brian was with the sunglasses.
Hey,
your future looks so bright. You have to wear shades.
That's what it is.
It is so much going on. I've got to make sure that I'm happy all the time because people said I was looking down last time. So I'm so happy, really.
Yeah. There you go. They pep things up with some rock star glasses.
Yeah, right. And grab a guitar. Oh, jeez. Here's mine.
If I only had
the mariachi guitar. Woo!
If I only had my keyboard, that'd be all right,
There you go.
All right. So again, we've got a great show. So stick with us at 7:30. We're going to have Hillary Jackson joining us. We got to get into the bottom of what's happening at the Parma City Schools. Sexual allegations, the whole works, the whole thing of that. All right. I want to show you guys a few things here. This is off our X channel here, and you can see right here, how come it's not running? Well, that's because it's going to take a little bit of time. I hope that should be running. That is not running. That is not good. All right, I want to show you guys a couple things before we get into some other stuff, but you guys remember the Red Barn restaurant? I remember the Red Barn, and do you guys remember that or not?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I do, yeah.
Yeah, the Red Barn was big in here in Ohio. Now look at the prices on that if you can see it. Hamburgers were 20 cents back then.
When was that? When was that back? 1920 or what?
No. It was back when I was a kid. Really? You have a cheeseburger, 25 cents. Yeah, I'm telling you, the prices back then, this is what the prices were. McDonald's was the same way. It really was.
And you got a full-size hamburger, not one of these mini bites that you get now.
Right. It was a full-size hamburger and everything.
Bring
Big
back
Barney.
The Red Barn.
Huh?
Bring back the Red Barn.
Bring it back. I used to love that place. There it is in all its glory. But you could get the Big Barney, which was their biggest sandwich they had. And that thing was a monster for 55 cents. So you can't beat those prices.
You sure
they'd
that wasn't
probably change that
1920?
logo. That logo wouldn't work today. The Red Barn. They'd probably call it, something else other than the Red Barn. Logos are being changed all the time now.
They're right. They'd call it racist, probably.
Probably.
Red Barn is racist.
They probably,
yes.
The word red. Maybe it's communist or something. Who knows what they would come up with. This is Wade, by the way. He might be stopping in tonight at 8 o'clock. And Wade was out in Madison, and he's got an empty chair there. And I want to show you what that chair... Let me show you this here. He's got an empty chair there, Brian. He wants Jerry Serino to sit in that chair.
Oh, really?
Yes, and spend about an hour or two with him. That's what he is saying. I'll get the audio here in a little bit. But, yeah, he wants Jerry Serino... boom, in that chair for an hour and a half and listen to the people. So I was happy to catch him. I was out there. I just wanted to see what he was up to. On Saturday, we were there I hung out for about an hour and a half. But he did have people stopping by and stuff. He says it's slowing down because of the weather. And plus, a lot of people have already signed it. But he says he wants Serino to hear from the people. And the people that did show up, yeah, they've all got a story. They've all got a horror story when it comes to property taxes.
There's two chances of Serino sitting in that chair. Slim and none, and Slim left town. Serino, he's not interested in what the average citizen has to say.
No, he's not. But, hey, it's a good... it's worth a try.
I think it's a good...
Worth a try.
And
look at that Ohio political news sign he's got back there. He made that. He made that.
Did? Wow.
Yeah, we didn't give it to him or nothing. He made all those signs.
Yeah, it's kind of a nice-looking sign.
Way to go, Wade.
Yeah, I got real quick here. Timothy Shea was talking on our X account here about SNAP. This was kind of funny because he's saying that everybody's on SNAP weighs 350 pounds. And how can that be? SNAP is when
It's
you
hard to
don't
believe-
have food.
Hard to believe 44 million people on SNAP. Did I hear that number right? And half of them
Yes.
are illegal?
Yeah,
It's being
I wouldn't
abused.
put it past it. They probably are. They probably are.
Joe, did you say it's X? You thought maybe it wasn't up? Because I'm looking at X now, and it is running on X.
Let's
We
see.
are live on X.
Let's see. Where is it? Where is it? There it is. The guy with the sunglasses. Look at it. There's a little bit of
What
a
is
delay.
his name?
But who is that
People are-
guy?
people-
All right.
People are going to scroll by and say, what is this Ohio political news? They're going to say, look, that guy looks cool. I want to stop here and see what Ohio political news is all about.
Right.
No, they won't do that. They'll say, I got to get away from this guy.
You know, you look a little like Johnny Cash. The people remember
You
who
think
Johnny
so?
Cash is.
Black?
I think so. With the
Yeah.
glasses, the black shirt, the whole works. Get out your
Yeah.
guitar. This is a bronze statue of Nancy Pelosi. Trump. This is the kind of news you only get on Ohio Political News. Trump's tribute to Nancy Pelosi. This bronze statue is located behind the White House next to the garbage cans. What do you think of that? She looks like a witch there. That looks like a witch outfit. I don't know. As we go down here, Trump endorsed Vivek officially on Truth Social there. He's telling that he is a young, strong, and smart guy. And he is.
So we can't go with Heather Hill, the Libertarian candidate that's supporting abolishing property taxes.
Yeah.
Now that the Republican
could.
Party is supporting Vivek and Trump is supporting Vivek. Interesting.
Well, you could go with her. The problem is she's got an uphill battle. Get it? Hill has a very uphill, steep climb if she wants to.
But she's for the people and the property, abolishing the property taxes.
I know.
I don't. Vivek is not. Vivek is not.
Vivek
He wants
is
to
not.
eliminate the income tax.
I got
That's
you.
for this donor base. That's for
gotcha.
the donor. Yeah, forget about the people. It's the donor base that counts.
That's politics.
Pardon me
That's
for
politics.
being a little negative today, but I'm getting a little tired of these politicians that are not worried about the average citizen.
No, I hear you. Last but not least, Amy Acton edges out Vivek in new Ohio governor race poll.
I don't know about that.
Is that the
I'm
onion?
Now, there's
That
no
wasn't your
credibility
poll.
with these polls anymore. I mean, zero
That's-
credibility.
That is
And
not
who-
Ohio political news poll, wrote Joe. Right?
No, that is
That
not.
was not your poll.
That's,
Okay.
that's a poll somebody drew in crayon.
Yeah, that was a poll from Bowling Green State University, if I recall
so
correctly.
Please, our listening audience, I have an encouragement for you. Please suggest to Bowling Green University that they discover social media. Because if they go on social media, they're going to quickly discover something having to do with followers. I don't remember the numbers. I actually wrote it down somewhere. But I saw that ridiculous poll. And Amy Acton has something like 60,000 followers or something. Vivek Ramaswamy is like 2.8 million followers. So it's just outrageous, the difference. And if you look at the comments, every time Amy Acton posts anywhere on any social media platform, pretty much all of the answers are very negative about her. So she seems to have no following and a whole bunch of people that dislike her. So this whole poll, and you can check that on every platform I've looked on, is a massive difference between. So nobody seems to like her. Where the heck can this poll be coming from? Because social media is a pretty good sampling of the United States right now.
I want to. Yeah, you're absolutely right. The polls, you can't trust the polls. If you remember from the last election, they had out in Iowa, they had not Hillary, but who was it? Cackle and Kamala winning by like 12 points in Iowa over Trump, and Trump won by like 10. So there's a 22-point swing. So that was not a very accurate poll.
Yeah, Joe, there's another thing you can't really follow, and that is you can't just listen to the what happened in the last election on all the property taxes. Everybody's saying, well, it's all over now. 80% of the people, voted for all these property taxes. Therefore, they won't vote to abolish them. Well, as they say, don't count your chickens, because the citizens are still fighting back. We're not giving up. So I'm not listening to any of the naysayers that are looking at what happened in the last election.
Wait a minute. I have a comment on that.
Positive me. Okay, positive me.
I was going to try and find, I actually did a little write-up on that. I'll sort of paraphrase. I ended up very happy with what I've written up. I'll post it on X and Facebook. You can find me, find J.R. Broadbent, and I'll post it. But it basically boils down to this. Unfortunately, because of several decades of lack of education, there is a significant mental disconnect. People, I'm sorry to say, but overwhelmingly, people don't directly connect that experience of voting in favor, I have to air quote that, in favor of these tax levies with the resulting property tax they have to pay. And
100%, Jonathan.
There's a kind of a psychological thing that happens there. It's a little bit of sleight of hand. If you think about going and purchasing something, if you go and you're paying in cash, you're likely to sort of barter a little bit and try and get the best, most economical value, because it's a little bit painful. I mean, sometimes in a good way, and it's important. You're thinking about the value of that transaction if you're using cash. But let's be honest, if you have a credit card and you're tapping it, it's removed from that equation. And people think very differently about it. It's like, oh, sometime later, I'll sort of take care of that. It's a little bit out of your mind as you're making that transaction. And you think a lot less about the cost and the implications of that transaction. Property taxes and the levies work very much the same way, because people get ramped up, and there's also this social rhetoric and these sort of campaign slogans around your community. The endangered seagulls are going to die if we don't pass the Parks and Rec, or the kids will get an even worse education if they're given something less than $40,000 a year per kid, whatever. All the rhetoric ramps up, and so people end up going in and they're like, oh, it's sort of a habit now. And they just circle the oval. That is very different from the pain and the suffering of not being able to maintain your lifestyle and eat and maybe lose your home. So
let me ask you a question, Jonathan. Let me ask you a question on that then, because I'm a little bit puzzled because of all the levies that passed this Tuesday in Ohio. Like, almost a record number. It's higher this year than it was a couple years ago when it was an off-year election.
But I think there were more of them.
Yeah, but the percentage, I mean, boy, I'll have to look it up, but it's like almost every levy passed. It was a rarity. Now, a lot of them were renewals. I got it. There were some that didn't pass, but the number was way higher this go-around than it's been in the past.
There was so much deception, though, Joe. When they talk about a renewal, what they also did was they made the renewal continuous. And that's a deception on the people.
Yeah.
But Jonathan is 100% correct. We have discovered that there are many people that go to the polls, vote for a levy, and do not correlate voting for that levy to see an increase in their property taxes, believe it or not.
So
100%.
That could be a big reason why so many of them pass, too. They just think, oh, well, the government's going to fund it. You fund the government, and then the government funds whatever it wants to do. People don't understand that. The government only gets money because it takes it from you, the taxpayer. You give it to the government, and then the government gets this big pot of money, and they say, okay, I'm going to throw some here, I'm going to throw some there. So it's not free money. The school system is not free. Look at your property taxes. That's what kills me. Oh, we got to have public schools because they're free. They ain't free.
Many of them. But Joe, many people don't even see their property tax bill. They don't know how many taxing authorities that they're contributing to, and they don't know how many actual property tax levies. In my taxing district, I've got over 35 levies. I think it's close to 40 property tax levies I'm paying for in my taxing district. People have no concept of it, and Jonathan is 100% correct.
Okay, I want to ask you guys a question here, and that is, what state has the 8th heaviest property tax burden in the nation?
Ohio.
Here's another question. Who ranks 40th in median household income in the country, according to the Tax Foundation?
I think that would be
Ohio.
We are first in aviation and 47th in everything else in the state. That's sort of that's an axiom that all the politicians say. We're not first in anything.
Well, we're getting there with property taxes. We're almost first.
Well, we're moving in that direction, right?
So,
and if you follow Jerry Serino, he'll be happy if we get first in property taxes.
The people did not. Let me put it this way. Just get your honest thoughts on this, okay? The people passed all those levies. Is the reason they passed them because they don't realize that they're paying for them, that it's increasing their property taxes? Is that the reason? There's another possible reason too. Given that this is an off election, and what are you voting for? You're voting for mostly school board members. You're voting for mayors, city council. I have a feeling that if you're a Democrat, you're more likely to vote in this election than if you're a Republican.
Correct.
Yeah, I can't tell you when I was working at the polls, that people would come up. I was handling the last step of the tabulator, and people say, "Well, there was not much to vote on," and people really are not generally motivated. What was it? 30% voter turnout. That's abysmal. But then I'm finding out I've got many friends that I've known for over 30 years. They're not even registered to vote.
Wow, not even registered.
I just don't get it.
Well, in Cleveland, the voter turnout was 18%. Just so you know, 18%.
18%.
Yeah.
So you've got the minority that's controlling, the majority, and at some point in time, people are going to wake up when they hit bottom, and they can't pay those bills. And
I keep thinking we're hitting bottom, but I mean you're right about the off-year elections, and a lot of time what happens is we'll have the leftists will put something on the ballot for an off-year election, like legalize marijuana or and make all public transportation free or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They'll put some kind of attractive thing on there for lunatic far left know-nothings, and they'll be all excited and motivated, like, oh, I can have free transportation anytime, anywhere I want, so I'm going to go and vote. And once they show up, they skim down the list and they're like, oh, levies are good because that just means the government is giving more free stuff, and they circle all the ovals. I think that's what happens in a lot of years. There wasn't an issue like that this year, but in past years, we've seen it happen. They put these goofy things on that are basically communism wrapped with flowers and sprinkles, and the left go rushing off to the polling locations, and the right, they stay at home, oblivious. And then they get all over social media frustrated because we're going south.
Yeah,
makes no sense.
And we see that in Lake County, Jonathan. It's not necessarily property taxes, but with Lake Tran, with sales tax, they've got, I think it's over $50 million, in cash. They don't know how to spend all that money, and we find out that 42% of the riders in Lake Tran are using it to get to work. So is that what we're doing now? We're having Uber service, so we pay for their ride to work.
Lake Tran. Do you have people that actually ride Lake Tran? Because I know here in Cuyahoga County we have RTA, and those buses are always empty. I don't see anybody.
Yeah, well, we're empty, but it's most of it is empty. But when I look at their numbers, 42%, last statistics, were people using it as a ride to work.
Yeah, but still,
now.
Well, you know what? Does that really work?
Money
Does that
out
really
of it?
work? You're going to take it to work. I mean, if you live downtown, that's what RTA was a while back, many decades ago, probably many decades ago, when you would get on like the RTA Rapid Transit, it'd take you right to the terminal tower, and then from there, because everybody was like in the square, you had all the big buildings right there in the square. It's not like that today. So even if you take it downtown to the terminal, What are you going to do then? You got to catch another bus to go to East 9th Street or East 22nd Street or wherever.
Oh, I did that for years. I took a train to the terminal, and then I got a transfer and took a bus out to 18th in Euclid.
Okay, so
I did
what a
that
hassle,
for
right?
years, and that was fine back then.
It was okay.
But here's a thing that nobody seems to want to tackle, and that's just like I keep doing over and over again with per pupil cost. What's the per rider cost? I wouldn't be surprised if you're like $20,000 per ride or something. Who knows what the ridiculous figure is, because you have these empty buses just gobbling up whatever. What do they run on now? I don't know, rainbows.
But I'll tell you something else, Jonathan. I'll tell you something else. The salaries for those RTA drivers is pretty nice. It's pretty special. It's all run by the unions. They get a big chunk of the sales tax. This is something that needs to be doged. I know RTA in Greater Cleveland area, that needs to be doged. Big time.
Doge the heck out of it, absolutely.
Yeah, well, so but you got to have somebody with some backbone who will do the doging and just not look the other way. Right now, we don't have anybody like that. The politicians just continue to look the other way.
That's throughout all of the government taxing authorities, whether it's Lakeland Community College. I've been looking at the Auburn Career Center. Auburn Career Center, doing a good job educating the kids on the whether fire department or in the trades, but you got a Lakeland. They're not getting over $21 million, and there's buildings that are just completely empty. But there's no one, as you say, no one's got a backbone to say, wait a minute, time out. We're not being good stewards of the taxpayers' money. The money just keeps coming in, and they keep doing the same thing, and there's not enough students.
In order to justify the costs of these things, they just keep making them top heavy. Everything from roads and construction to education to parks and recreation to transportation, all of it. Once you start actually looking at it, if all these bureaucratic, monstrous entities swirling around, and they all have these huge administrative staff, and then their assistants to the administrators and all that stuff, and then you have whatever the product is. You're trying to fill potholes. The pothole ends up costing you $2 million per pothole. Or you're trying to transport people around the city, and you end up with mostly empty buses. And it's just massive, wasteful spending. And we did a study a long time ago. I've mentioned this before. There was a study, I think it was one for Lake County and one for Geauga County, that explored what the cost would be if you simply switch to an on-demand transportation service. So in other words, people could use an app or a phone or something and say, I need to go from point A to point B, and send a special driver. You could have 25 drivers just on standby waiting. It drops your insurance dramatically. So instead of running buses on every street every 10 minutes for the 40 people a day that ride the darn thing, just do an on-demand. It would have saved like $68 million a year. But nobody wants it because they're forcing these buses to run. By the way, that's an opportune moment to point out that it's the same greenie meanies that talk about how we're ruining the environment, that insist that we have to have buses and trains running every 10 minutes for 5 counties or whatever it is, just shuttling around empty air, moving it from all. That's what it is. It's like a giant fan for Lake Ashtabula, Geauga. I don't know if Ashtabula is included in that. Lake Geauga, Medina, Lorain, Cuyahoga. Think of it as like a giant wind fan for whatever, $10 million a day or whatever the heck they spend. It's ridiculous. There are hardly any riders on these buses.
No, there's nobody.
Change to an on-demand system.
Buses. Except muggers. You see a bunch of muggers every time. I wouldn't even get on those buses. It's dark. You got one guy back there with a raincoat on and something. You just don't want to go on these RTA buses.
Joe and Jonathan, one thing I've experienced. Have you experienced this where you have people that you know, friends that you know that are solid patriots, freedom and liberty lovers? Then they get on these taxing authority boards, and all of a sudden they become socialists. They don't even take a look at what they're on the board. is the entity really needed? Like this educational service center. I just wonder about that.
Yeah, none of it is really needed. Look at the government's been shut down. The federal government has been shut down forever, and nobody even knows. I haven't noticed anything except that everything seems to be running just perfectly.
But what happens to the patriots when they get on these boards? Honestly, I don't
get in with the
understand
group, and you either conform or you're an outcast.
You just go along to get along.
You
right?
go along to get along.
And
I think I know the answer to that. I'm pretty sure that I know the answer to that, Brian. The answer is name calling. You have to be willing to suffer those slings and arrows, because if you're one of those people that goes in and questions anything from school board to a local county board to like health, mental health, and human services, or all those county level boards, pretty much anywhere. If you are willing to step in and ask questions like, hey, I realize that we started 50 years ago spending $3 million a day on whatever it is, and I noticed now that we're spending $17 million a day, and why? That instantly you have to be prepared to they're going to call you racist, homophobic, anti-LGBTQ plus, xenophobic, Islamophobic, or anti-Semitic, or whatever. They'll just spew stuff out, and then they'll print it in the paper.
Right.
So you have to be prepared for that. What we have are a lot of people, I think, that get in with the false notion that they have truth on their side, and they're really going to advocate for the people because they notice that people are losing their homes because we're overtaxed in these burdensome environments. And then they get in, and the first time somebody shows up and stuff a microphone in their face and like, hey, since you're a racist and you're a white supremacist or whatever, and they just start calling, and it's shocking to the system. We need more people willing to take those roles, to just look back at the ridiculous person casting preposterous aspersions and just say, that's ridiculous. Can we stick to the topic, please, which is the $13 million a day that we're wasting in this program? Stop calling me names, because that's ridiculous and you're wrong, and stand up for themselves.
You're probably right, Jonathan, because there's a prime example here in Lee County, and that is at the Mentor School Board with Annie Payne and Rose Iapolo, standing up to the liberals in Mentor. But in the last election, the three conservatives in Mentor School Board, they lost. So people in Mentor are saying they want liberal education, boys in the girls' bathrooms and all of that 9 yards, and the same thing in Riverside. The conservatives, Dennis Kinney and Scott Fishel, they lost. So that whole school board in Riverside.
But that's just. I gotta get in here quick because we got to get our guest on. But the thing is, I think that goes back to the whole idea that a lot of Democrats are voting in this off-year type election because it is school board and things like that, and this is what they live for. So I think that might have something to do with it. At least it's worth looking into. But we got to go to our guest. Hillary, are you out there? And I'll tell you what. Do me a favor, because I can see you. Turn your camera sideways, or your cell phone sideways, if you would, please. I want to just get your full. She's got the shades too. Brian, you're starting a trend already.
Brian.
There we go.
Starting a trend. I don't believe it. Okay. What happened?
What happened?
Turn your camera sideways again. I think we lost you.
Hold on, let's see here.
Well, look at that image.
There you go. Now turn it sideways if you can,
if
you possibly can, just so we can see more of you. If not, then we will. There you go.
Are we here?
There you are.
Yeah, that's good.
Wait a minute. What does she and he have in common? What
with my glasses?
What is the common factor here? I don't get it.
Or is it the flag?
She looks so much better.
The flag?
She looks so much better in glasses. Looks great. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. So you're the chairwoman for the Moms for Liberty Cuyahoga County chapter. So I want to thank you for coming on. So we got a lot we're going to talk about what you do, but also there is the Parma City School District that has a sexual allegation that we also want to dive into. But I do want to thank you, first of all, for coming on and being with us here today. So
Yeah, thank you for inviting me.
yeah, so you've been the chairwoman for. I don't like saying chairman to a woman. I just it doesn't sound right. So say
You can
chairwoman.
just say the chair.
You're just chair.
The chair.
You're just the chair. Let's see. So you were with Moms for Liberty. That happened in March that you became
Yes.
the chair. All
Yes.
right. And so, it's an important position. I think Moms for Liberty is, it's right up there with Charlie Kirk's organization and with everything else. I mean, it is top of the line. You guys do
Yes.
top of the line work. Gotta commend you, and you're doing
Thank you.
great work. And you're in Cuyahoga County, so you cover the county a lot. And it sounds like you're an advocate for parents, especially when it
Yes,
comes to the
parental
school
rights.
system. It seems like a lot of the public school system, you are. We got Kent with us here tonight. By the way, if anybody wants to chat, please chat so that we can get you in on the conversation. Hillary is a tireless advocate for. Put it back up. She's a tireless advocate for kiddos. I didn't catch the rest.
She
of it,
is.
but that's great.
She is.
All right.
Cuyahoga
Thank
County.
you.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Yeah,
So I
thank
want
you.
to give you a little pause here. Okay, I've got this. I want to kick things off here because you were at a school board meeting at Greenbrier Middle School in Parma. So
Right.
let's just let's go to this for a second. We'll talk about it here.
I'm speaking tonight because two mothers came before this board in April raising concerns about a teacher's inappropriate conduct. What followed was disgraceful and unconstitutional. When these mothers asked questions about the mandatory reporting process, they were silenced and accused of playing games. Now we know that
I just want to stop it right there for a second. Now, this was you at the school board meeting, and
Correct.
you're talking about a sexual allegation incident that occurred,
Correct.
and I'll let you fill in all the gaps, but just so that people have a little bit of understanding. Joseph Porach, is that how you say his name? Porach?
Porach. Yeah, Joseph
Porach.
Porach.
All right,
is the
Joseph
teacher
Porach.
in question.
Yeah. Okay, so he is. He's a gym teacher and athletic
He's the
director.
health teacher. Yeah, he's the health teacher now and the athletic director. Correct.
Okay, he was athletic director, and now he is the health. They moved him over to become a health teacher. So let's just play this.
From
a
This is-
health teacher's inappropriate behavior spanned years, confirmed by numerous women and his own admissions. Originally a gym teacher, he displayed inappropriate behavior in gym class and in the locker rooms. But instead of investigating, the district reassigned him to health teacher, a move that did nothing to stop the complaints. Complaints were
and just so people know, this happened several years ago. So we have a current sexual allegation we want to talk about with this Porach, but he was the gym teacher several years ago. Until several years ago, they moved him to be the health teacher. And he's been with the school system like 20 years or so. He's been there for a long time. And by the way, he makes $100,000 a year, guys. Makes $100,000 a year because in a couple of years, a reported salary of $91,000. This was 2 years ago, but he also got extra money for extracurricular activities, which was totals $2 to $3 grand, and raises and everything else. So he's sitting at about $100,000. And the reason I bring that up is because they put him on administrative leave now for the last 8 months, and that's our tax dollars being
made
wasted.
to the principal and the dean, yet they failed to report the issues as required by law. As a result, a child was suspended, accused of lying, and traumatized, while the teacher was put on paid leave. We are calling for the immediate resignation of that teacher, the Greenbrier principal, the dean, and the board president. Your negligence and your failure to protect students has destroyed the public's trust in you. Former super, in a text exchange with the principal, referred to concerned parents and students as effers
Effers.
with this guy being guilty of only
They would
juvenile
have kicked
humor.
me out.
I dare any of you to look that mother in the eye whose child was on suicide watch and call her an effer. All of this, the cover-ups,
Wonderful
the failures,
school
the
system.
silencing of parents, the superintendent issuing a tone-deaf letter downplaying the teacher's actions, and then asking for a levy. So I ask everyone in this room, administrators, board members, teachers, do you vow to put our children first from now on? Because if you don't, we will. Thank you.
All right, very good. And like I said, it's just wonderful that they have activists like yourself and others with Moms for Liberty to get up there and just start swinging. So, give us a little more background into that. We'll keep rehashing this stuff so everybody understands. What is the current allegation? What is the current sexual allegation?
So the current allegation, I guess I should say the most current, because there have been allegations for years, continuous allegations. But the one that finally got him on this last round of paid administrative leave was there was a student, and now we're talking middle school, 12 years old. She had a snack at her desk, and her desk was placed close to his, and he grabbed that snack and put it on his lap and said, if you want it, come and get it. And then reached for her arm and grabbed her arm to pull it towards him. She immediately reported it to the dean. So, administrative staff is principal, assistant principal, and then there's a dean of students. So if you want to know where your tax dollars are going, it's, a lot of administrators,
layers and layers of useless administrators. Mm-hmm. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. But yet to find a competent one. So, he met with the principal after she, reported it, and based off of this teacher's denial, they suspended her for a false allegation. They suspended her for 2 days. They did not report the complaint to the state. They did not inform law enforcement until a month later, which is falsified on the document. On the report, it said that he reported it to law enforcement. And he did not. And we learned that from the SRO himself. But they ended up reversing her suspension because obviously when the community got wind of this, there was outrage, of course, because his behavior it spanned for such a long period of time. Before we even said his name, people were saying, I know it's Greenbrier and I know it's Joe Porach. So, I mean,
okay, so one second, Hillary, let's chime in here. So we're talking about middle school. We're talking about 5, 6, 7, and 8th graders. So these girls, and he was the gym teacher for a long time. And I think the allegations were that he would go in to he'd go into the gym room,
the girls' locker room,
the girls' locker room while they're getting changed and things like that.
Yeah, that's the allegation.
Those are the allegations. And there were so many of them that this illustrious school, this Parma City school, with their illustrious leadership, like the principal, Jill, I had her name here. What is her name?
Jill Schissler.
Jill Schissler. She's the principal at this middle school. She didn't do anything.
Nothing. They just moved him. Yeah, they just moved him from gym to health, thinking that maybe those complaints would stop about him being inappropriate with these students. And of course, it didn't. He just found a new MO, which was, from multiple reports, not just from this student, but other girls as well, that he would make sexist comments. He would, rub their shoulders, touch their hair, be extremely, touchy-feely, give them some pet names, just completely inappropriate. And despite the complaints that these girls have made, because I have quite a few of them that said, yes, I complained to this person on this day at this time with email documentation, nothing was ever done until the public actually finally said, enough is enough. And they reversed her suspension. But unfortunately, this poor little girl just she isn't able to go back to school. She is homeschooled now. She is dealing with some trauma, and she's in therapy, mostly because the adults that she trusted to protect her and take care of her betrayed her by the suspension, and she was humiliated. So
the thing I don't get into this whole story is that they automatically said that she was making these stories up, and they suspended her for 2 days.
Correct.
But if she's making it up, they just said that she was making it up. And then they put him on administrative leave, paid administrative leave, correct?
Yes. Now, that was after the outcry, that the community had.
Okay, so if there was no outcry, that would not have even happened, right?
Correct.
Unbelievable. I got to get these other guys in here. Brian, what do you think? This is sicko, man, sicko. And the fact that no one does anything, or they're insulated.
I've said for some time, and it just reinforces my feeling. I just don't believe that public schools can be saved. I think we've got to start focusing on homeschooling and absolutely starve the beast. The public education. People have been telling me this for 10 or more years, and they're absolutely right. We've got to get the kids out of these public schools because the immorality in the schools is unbelievable, and it's not going to change if adults are not protecting the children. We either take the children out of the schools or we get rid of the adults. But with the school unions protecting all the adults, it's going to be difficult. So we've got to get the kids out of the schools.
Yeah, the teachers union and everything. They're just insulating these the perpetrators who are committing these sexual crimes. Now, they were saying that this was no big deal, right? That what he did was no big deal, right? And that's when you were saying that people were saying that the fact that she was complaining, the girl, and the parents were complaining, didn't they say that they were a bunch of effers for even doing that?
Oh, wait, so it wasn't just anybody saying those things. It was the superintendent at the time. His name's Charlie Smilyak. He is at Pickerington now because he ran away from Parma as soon as we started, causing a little bit of noise over there about this whole situation. But it was a text message between him and Jill Schisler, the principal at the Greenbrier school. And his words were, I don't know beat me if you can, but he said to her, "These fuckers, the worst thing this guy is guilty of is juvenile humor." That was the superintendent. Now, he's already on paid leave. This girl was already suspended. When they decided to hire an investigator to investigate themselves, that was already, going on. So the allegations and the other circumstances that were reported were already being substantiated, but he still did not want to take it seriously, and obviously neither did the principal. So I was able to get these text messages when we did a records request. It took them a couple of months to get it to us, probably because they were over redacting things. So we're going to be asking for another one, and I'll include the laws so that they know what they can and can't redact. You're welcome. But that's where that was. It was a text message. So of course I took a screenshot and I sent it to everybody, and I said, look, this is what your superintendent and your principal feels about its students and the parents that want to protect the students. And that of course got a lot of attention, and I think really helped bring the attention to, to what was going on in Parma, because of course the levy that Parma put up did not pass.
That's true. Miserably. Thank God for that. Yeah, thank God for that. The levy did not pass. Hey, Ken, put that last text chat up there. Let me read it. Try to get, if you want to chat in the chat, and we'll try to get you into the conversation. That last one, if you have it. Yeah, Ken. No, there it is. Okay, let's see what it says. It says, I say and do everything I can every day, so do not include me, and no one does anything. So in other words, maybe that's a teacher, possibly, at the Parma school, saying that they do care and they do do stuff. I guess what we're trying to say is it's not 100% bad people, but what I am mostly upset about is that teachers union insulating these people, these teachers that never get fired. They can't get fired. They get the pay raises all the time and all this other baloney. And this has been going on literally for, like, I would say close to 20 years with this guy.
Yes. But I will say, we do have one member of the school board. Now, it's only one that has been incredibly empathetic, apologetic, and willing to help the parents that are obviously going through, whether it's, wanting some answers from the board. When this first came to light back in April, we did have moms go to the board, and the board shut them down, refused to let them speak, threatened to have them removed. And this particular board member, her name is Ashley McTaggart. She was serving for the Air Force, so she wasn't present during this meeting, and they actually ended up voting to remove her from all board communications while she was gone. So she comes back, and we kind of like bombard her, like, hey, this is what's going on. What can you do to help? So we do have, like I said, one ally on the board, but it is only the one.
Right. Okay. Real quick, and then we'll go to Jonathan here. But we're not saying everybody is bad. We're not saying the teachers are bad. We're saying that the teachers union has caused this, and then we're also going after specific people, like the principal, Jill Schischler, and the dean, whoever he is, and the superintendent, Bill Green, and then the superintendent, whoever that person is.
And Charlie Smilyak.
Charlie Smilyak?
Yes, he was the previous one. Now he quit, and he's in Pickerington. But the new one now, his name is Dr. Scott
quits.
Hunt,
He quits, and then all they do is they move him to another school where he could become superintendent or whatever. So this is just a big old merry-go-round. No, you can't.
Looks
on,
good.
Joe.
You cannot do that.
It is a good
You got to
look.
get your sunglasses out.
I got to find some. Yeah, go ahead.
I love it. I love it.
Get your sunglasses and put your sombrero back on again. So I'm texting with Margaret Bream, who was a guest on a prior episode. She is also a chair of, Moms for Liberty, Baby Stark, I forget which county. She has actually responded. The question that popped up, somebody asked if there's a Moms for Liberty in Mahoning County. The answer that I got is not at this time. But whoever it is that posted that, that's your cue. I think you should get involved, and I think you should help to organize a Moms for Liberty in Mahoning County. So that answers that question.
Mama Linda, 215. Send me a message.
There we go. Yeah. Is there a way, Kent? Can we put that up? Put Hillary's contact information up so that people interested. There it is. Is there a Moms for Liberty in Mahoning? There. Yeah. So Mama Linda. 215. Yeah, get a hold of Hillary. She will help get you pointed in the right direction. So a few things here. I made some notes while you're talking. The first thing is, welcome to the show. I'm so glad you're able to come on and join us and keep up the good work. You're an awesome trooper on behalf of the kids.
Thank you.
I've said this before. People that have been watching this show for a long time know that the first year that I was involved in this show, my title at the bottom of the screen was a chair and territory lead for Protect Ohio Children. I have an ongoing frustration. I absolutely adore what Moms for Liberty are doing, but where in the heck are the men? I want to put the call out there early and often, and this is my call to you, dads out there, grandpas, and men in the communities. Moms for Liberty is a name. They will accept you. That anybody will accept you. We need men actually showing up and showing out at these school board meetings. What Hillary did in that video is spectacular, and I've been seeing it for 5 years. But my level of frustration hit a massive peak about 3 years ago because it's all women. Where in the heck are the men? We are supposed to be protectors. I'll tell you what, men, get your butts out there. You need to get into these school board meetings and do the things like Hillary is doing. Look on YouTube and you can find those videos of real men who go up and stand up for the rights of children and try and protect little girls and little boys in their locker rooms and their bathrooms. It's, to me, infuriating that we don't have more men doing it. I don't mean any disrespect for Hillary or anybody like it, but it should be at least equal. There should be more men out there. So that's my rant on that. I'm going to go back to something we talked about before Hillary joined us, and that's the name calling thing. And it goes back to Brian's comments about the school board elections in Lake County. We had some really good people lined up. The name calling works if we let it. All of that stuff are like, you're a rabble rouser. I'm sure, and Hillary can speak to it, she's probably getting flack from the ridiculous left who are going to go all over their social media and call her names. She's some sort of a rabble rouser, or their caller, whatever. They just make up. That doesn't even matter to them. They'll use any name. It doesn't even have to relate to whatever it is you're saying. The point is, know that that's their tactic, and know that if we sit idly by and let it happen, they will continue to run roughshod over our schools, destroying them, degrading our education, 37th in the nation right now, by the way, according to U.S. News and World Report, or isn't 38th. So get out there and fight. This is, I've said it before, and if you don't realize it, check me on this and you'll come to the same conclusion. If you are concerned about the direction of our nation, and you're patriotic and you're a freedom fighter, know that the first vector of attack, number one, is children. That's what they're after. Mm-hmm. So some of these people have bought in hook, line, and sinker, and they think as soon as we get to the communist utopia at the end of this ridiculous path, that somehow life is going to be good in our country, and they're using children to do it. That's the objective. You can go back and watch videos from 50, 60 years ago that literally in Congress read the Communist Manifesto into the congressional record, stating that's the objective: disrupt and ruin schools so that they can take over our schools in the U.S. That's what's happening. One other thing, two more. One is, Hillary, I noticed a police officer in the background, and good, because we want to keep things calm, and we know that our side is good at it. Our side debates. We like logic and reason, and we're calm and like to engage, and we're civil. The other side is not. They're often violent. But more to the point, what I want to encourage Hillary and Cuyahoga County and everybody else out there in the nation to know is that there is a heavy, heavy dose of what is called ACAB that's taking place. I've got undercover whistleblower video from school district training for teachers education from all over that teaches, it's pushing this narrative into schools that cops are bad. It's been happening since defund the police and all of that stuff. It's a heavy element if you can find it. And personally, I think that that's a counter to the leftists in Parma. If you can find it in Parma, use it to take it to the police department. I've called police departments, like I spoke with the chief of police in, I want to say if it's Willoughby, Wickliffe, one of those in Lake County. I've spoken to cops all over the place. I know some of the chiefs of police, and I tell them, know that the school is actually out there teaching children to mistrust and fight against you. That is incredibly harmful to society. So that is something I want to make sure is on your radar. The last thing is, and this goes to a deeper level, I'd love to get your feedback on this, Hillary, and your experience with it. The name calling is to the point where it's nonsensical, and it relies on people's complete and utter belief system. So we saw it with Charlie Kirk, and we have seen some people who thought that they hated Charlie Kirk who've actually gone back and watched a bunch of his videos and said, oh, wait, aha, I was lied to. He was not any of those things that society and media and social media and celebrities, politicians were telling me he was. He was a good person. That's a major sort of a groundbreaking moment. I think that we need to find more of those at the local level, including people like Hillary Jackson, to get people to actually look at what she's actually doing and ignore the name calling.
Yeah. I mean, I've been called the minivan Taliban, a Viking witch. I mean, all just the craziest things. But what I will say with this particular situation, and what was kind of nice about it, is that when we first started, publicizing what was going on, I did it as me. I didn't really push the Moms for Liberty name because, people are obviously misinformed about what that is, very similar to Charlie Kirk. But seeing the support from the community, and the I hate to use the word praise, but I guess praise from the community that somebody was speaking out, it just goes to show you that it wasn't about politics. It wasn't about even my beliefs. We were able to come together for the kids. And unfortunately, I feel like if I would have, really started this as a Moms for Liberty mission, then maybe it wouldn't have gotten the support that it deserved. So I'm glad to see that at least as of right now, I'm receiving support. The parents are receiving support, regardless that of my position with Moms for Liberty. It doesn't matter, as long as these parents are getting what they need and the focus is being put on the people at the school who are deserving of the scrutiny and the criticism. That's all that matters.
I got a question for you that. Because we're talking about, they violated federal or state law, at least. They violated state law by not reporting it, not reporting this incident. So the principal, the dean, the superintendent, all these guys, the school board members, they were in violation of, what is that, some kind of child protection law, right?
Yes. Now, according to the board, they did report it in August, is what they're saying. I have yet to see that they did in fact report it, but what they're telling us is that they reported it in August when their own investigation was completed. Now, this event happened in February, and from my understanding and everything that we've read and reviewed and got legal counsel on, is that they're supposed to report it immediately, and the state is supposed to kind of take over once they report it to the police, if that's necessary, but the state kind of leads the investigation. And it seems that this circumstance they just went rogue, and it led to obviously a very unfortunate situation with this poor girl not being able to attend school.
And you were saying she got PTSD from this incident, right?
Yes, she has been diagnosed with PTSD, yes.
And she was on suicide watch.
Yes.
So this is not something small, okay? This is,
Not
but they were
juvenile
saying it was just a juvenile prank by this guy, and nothing other than that.
Yeah. I mean, it's disgusting, the levels that these adults will go to justify and to save face and have, and self-preservation. I mean, can you imagine being 11, 12 years old and a grown man touching you, for one, but two, touching you in a way to encourage you to come close to his genitalia. I mean, it rocked her world. But you're not showing, rocked her world. And, and then on top of that, the adults that she trusted to protect her and take care of her betrayed her.
Hillary, can I ask you to pause for a moment?
Yeah, hang on one second. Hang on one second. Hang on one second.
I think somebody's got an open mic.
Yeah, okay, listen, here, I know what the problem is. Wade, I'm going to bring you on. Wade joined us. So I'm going to bring you on here in a few minutes, but we can hear you. So please don't talk. And
I'm sorry, I
we'll bring you
apologize.
back on here in a minute, okay? But we want to wrap this up with Hillary here. I'm going to go around the horn. You got a last question for Hillary, Brian?
Yeah, it's more of a comment. I know quite a few ladies in Mahoning County, and I would predict they will be one of the stronger chapters in Moms for Liberty. They all get thumbs up for me, and helping us with the property tax issue. They are very vocal. And I also agree with Jonathan. If that were my granddaughter or my daughter in that school, I'd have been all over those school officials. This wouldn't be just at a school board meeting. I'd be in their office, facing them
Brian,
down.
Well, yeah, but you have to understand, unfortunately, with this particular situation, these poor parents, as much as they wanted to, light the place on fire, they had to take care of their daughter. She was not well, and it was very recently that they got to a point where they would be able to take this next step by addressing the school, looking for legal counsel, because they were, they had to take care of her. She was in and out of hospitalization. She was just they've been through hell. But now we're at a point where we're over that hump, and we're able to do, to move on to the next thing.
All right, Jonathan, you got a final thought?
Yeah, my final thought is it's two pieces to it. One is, if you look at the comments being made all over Europe right now, as Europe basically falls, the comment, and I'm going back to my original, this is me jumping back on my soapbox here. The comment is generally, they went after masculinity first for a reason, because in a society with strong men, these bad things don't happen. We need more strong men with courage and conviction to stand up for what's right and justice. Get out there and meet these amazing warrior women like Hillary on this fight to get education back into our school systems and to protect children. Please, men, get out there and do it. The other piece of it is, for heaven's sakes, when I was a kid, we had sex ed and it was a week. And it was like with a health teacher was also the gym coach and whatever. And, we went in for a week and it was all sort of awkward and embarrassing and everything. And you learn about the birds and the bees. And that was it. We're done. We've moved to a system now where there's basically 12 years of sex ed. And they're starting in kindergarten. And there's a point, and it was a long time ago for me, where you just say, no, there's a line in the sand. You crossed that. Get back to simply teaching the basics of birds and the bees and biology, human biology, and stop this 12-year madness of sexualizing children and everything about it. I'm not saying that will weed out people like this if he is found to be guilty of these allegations, but I am saying you're creating this insane environment where instead of learning, you have children who are around adults, and everything has this sort of undertone of constant sexual content, and it should never happen. Your teacher, your administrative staff, nobody should ever know your politics or anything about your sexuality. Crossing that has made it a blurred line, and it never should have happened.
All right, they have like an LGBTQ group at Parma, that little middle school, is that right?
Yes, they do in the middle school. Mm-hmm. Also with a Black Lives Matter flag hanging up, and as well as the LGBTQ flag hanging.
So they're inundated with all of this crazy sexual stuff. All right, and this is the public schools today. So we keep saying, get your kids the hell out of the public school, and that's why we also have to get rid of the property taxes. Any last thoughts? And I really appreciate you coming on. This was an excellent discussion, and we're so glad that you're bringing it to the forefront so we can hear about it. But
yeah, just basically where we're at right now is we're waiting for them to vote on whether or not they're going to fire him. If they don't fire him, we don't know what that looks like. If they're going to continue just to keep him on paid leave, or if they're even going to bring him back into the building, we don't know. But what we do know is that if they decide not to fire him, I would be hard pressed to see them pass any more levies. But also, just speaking for myself and the other mothers that I've had the pleasure of speaking to and getting to know their incredible daughters, is that we're not going away. So, if you want to continue to, down this path of self-preservation, then I will continue to show up at every single board meeting and record every single one and share exactly who you are and the monsters that you are.
Oh, that's so excellent. Well, thank you again.
Good job.
And we do know Sarah Simon, so now we also know you with Moms for Liberty. So please stay in touch and, keep us updated what's going on. We really, really would enjoy that. We really need to hear about that. Thank you again. God bless.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Hillary.
All right,
Thanks,
Wade,
Hillary.
are you out there?
I'm here, Joe. Hi.
I don't
That's
see
a
you.
tough act to follow.
I don't see you.
I can hear and I can see you.
Yeah, I don't see you, though. Is your camera on? Or do you just want to go with sound?
We can go with the sound. I can see you. I am wearing sunglasses, though, but I'll take them off for conversation.
So wait, can you activate your camera? We'd like to see you.
Can you activate the camera?
I have to have my tech support.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. That's
I'm
fine.
sorry.
That's fine. We'll pretend it's a phone call, which it basically
Okay, I'm
is on
sorry.
that. I got to show you this. Listen in here. Let's see what this is here. I hope I got the volume turned up on this. Let's see. So, Wade, do you have a message for Senator Jerry Serino?
Yes, sir. Hey, Jerry, I'd like to invite you to come and sit at my table with me. I'm collecting petitions for the constitutional amendment to abolish property tax. I'd like you to play undercover boss for a day. You don't have to engage. You can just sit and listen. There's so many stories, and the situation is so bad for so many people. I think you're missing the severity of the situation. Please come listen to people. This time here at this table will change your heart and open your eyes. Please, sir. We need relief, and we need your help.
So, Wade, do you have a message
Brian.
for Senator Jerry Serino?
Yes,
What
sir.
What do you think of that? So Wade wants Jerry
Wade,
Serino sitting in that chair.
Wade, thank you so much for all of your efforts in collecting the signatures. It's greatly appreciated. And hopefully we get to meet, face to face one day.
Yes, sir.
I can
I'm
say that,
available to help.
and I appreciate that. We're going to certainly take you up on that offer. We are, as far as Jerry Serino's, I'd love to have Senator Serino sitting in that chair, but the chances of Senator Serino, talking or listening to the average citizen, it's pretty remote. He has declared war, as far as I'm concerned, when he spoke to the about 100 politicians at the Willoughby Hills meeting when 2 commissioners from Lake County had the meeting. Serino, and we recorded him there, and that's how we got that 3 or 4 minute video where he said, don't support the property taxes and tell 100 people not to sign the petition, and if it gets on the ballot, not to vote for it. So Serino has become a socialist. It's very obvious that he's lost track of his capitalist roots, and he believes in government controlling everything, I guess.
Yeah, I see that. If he would sit at the table, like I said, and meet with the average citizen, and just listen to the stories, the heartfelt situations that people are faced with, whether it's a neighbor lady getting thrown out of her home, and whatever. There's hundreds of stories. Everybody has a story.
Hey, Jerry.
And, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, keep talking.
Yeah. I just wanted to encourage you, Brian. I saw Tuesday you guys all seemed a little depressed by the outcome of the elections, and I just wanted to encourage you all and be a little, give you support, because we're winning this thing. We are going to win this thing. Their rally cry, the only defense they have right now, they said on Tuesday, the people have spoken, and the answer is more taxes. Well, maybe they're not asking the right question. If you ask the public, if this petition succeeds and we get on the bill, the question will then be, do you support relief or do you demand relief from property taxes? That's a whole different question. And I believe that question will be answered with a definite yes. But the question they're asking right now is the same they've asked for 20 years. Can we raise your taxes? But when this bill gets on the ballot, it's gonna pass 100%. We haven't done anything to change the current situation. So I like to emphasize the fact that we have to win this battle right now in stage one with getting the petition signed. We can't expect.
Wait, 100%. 100% agree. And as I promised all of the citizens in the state of Ohio that when I speak in front of groups, I said we're willing to stand on the front lines. We're not going to give up. The issue with passing all of the levies, and we talked about a little earlier in the show, where a lot of people, believe it or not, when they vote for a levy, they don't correlate voting for that levy and seeing an increase in their property taxes. I know that sounds like a ridiculous statement, but it is true. For some reason, people really don't understand, and they vote a lot on emotions. And you're going to see a lot of fear mongering. It's already started that we're not going to have any more police or fire departments. The schools are going to crumble, and it'll be. Well, it's the role and the duty of the state legislators to fund the schools. If anybody wants to, if they say, well, I want to contribute to my local school because that's the heartbeat of my community, and we say, well, that's great. You can write a check for your school to keep your school going. But I don't believe in socialism, and even Dan Troy, he was a representative for I can't remember the district. I think it's 18 here in Lake County and Cuyahoga County. He says the funding of public schools is the purest form of socialism. It's redistribution of wealth. And the legislators have got to start following the Ohio Constitution. The very first article in the Ohio Constitution is a protection of property. Because if you don't protect the property, if you don't own anything, you're merely a serf to the government. And I keep saying, well, maybe people have to hit bottom. A lot of people are hitting bottom. I sent out a survey to every senator, state senator, and every state representative. I asked them if they're going to sign the petition, and we are going to respond. I gave them until November 15th, and we'll respond on the Ohio Political News. We'll tell everybody who responded, who didn't, and what were their answers. I've had one representative, his name is Rodney Creech, I think it's District 40 down in the Dayton area. He said he will not sign our petition. So people in his area need to know that Representative Creech does not believe in the private property. He is a socialist, and he believes in the redistribution of wealth, and they've lost sight of how this country was founded.
Yeah, I'm glad you did that. Brian, because that's going to be important, because the lawmakers might do this whole group think thing, and all of them get together and say, well, we can't abolish property taxes. Let's all just hover together, and let's just all say how nonsense it is, and what this right-wing radical group that came along with the idea of abolishing property taxes, they're all nuts and everything, and everybody get on board. The legislators say, let's tell our constituents that this is crazy. That might be something that's up their sleeve. We'll have to see. I hope not.
Well, they've only got themselves to blame because, as I said, Leonard Gilbert, John Maher, and I, years ago, we set out to talk to our legislators. No one would talk to us. We spoke to the Ways and Means Committee and to the various committees they had to review and reform property taxes. Nothing happened. The only thing they do is censor the speech of the average citizen. So they've got to keep remembering that if they want to get reelected, they better start thinking about the average citizen and not just their donor base.
Okay, Wade, it looks like we got you on camera now.
Yes.
Okay. Smile! Oh, you're on candid camera. I was watching some
like
of
the
those
sign.
old reruns of Candid Camera. I was laughing like crazy. Yeah, sign the petition. All right, so the people that were coming up, I was with you a little bit on Saturday, but you've been out there every Saturday now. So what are some of the people saying? Like if you were to put it in a nutshell, some of the answers.
Yeah, well, it's a lot of the same story. And like I said, everybody has a story. Whether it's a neighbor, their own situation, people are struggling. And you know what's frustrating about these politicians that represent us? This petition that we're pushing for isn't a final decision. It's just an opportunity to bring the subject to the table. Every representative should be in support of the conversation and allowing it to come to the ballot. This question should be allowed to be raised and let the voters decide. Like I said, they allow votes for taxes every time, but they never bring up the question of not having taxes. So they support raising taxes, but now when a bill that comes out to support stopping taxes, they don't support it. I think they shouldn't hinder or impede in the public opportunity to bring the conversation to the table. Whether you agree with it or not, the First Amendment gives us the right to petition our government and freedom of speech. And in all fairness, even if you oppose a bill, you shouldn't be against the conversation to bring the bill to the ballot. You know, I think amazingly the thing is going to pass. I know I've heard 80-90% polling rates. I think the people that I talk to that at the petition table are all coming out to vote, clearly. But I also think that we have to work on the people that are against it, at least to, if they believe in American principles, fairness, they should allow the question come to the vote, come to the table. If they truly believe in the voice of the people, then they should allow that question to be asked. They should allow the bill at least come to the table.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. What you're saying is sign it so they can just get on the ballot. That doesn't mean it's going to – you're not telling the person they have to vote for it. You're just saying, hey, let's just get on the ballot. Let's talk about it, discuss it, and everything else, and see where that goes.
The politicians have had opportunities for years to address the issue, and they've ignored it. You know, they're adamant against our idea. But we're presenting a solution. If you don't like it, come up with another one. But don't shoot us down as a representative of the people and your constituents. How dare you say I'm not going to let my constituents bring a ballot or vote? And, you know, if anything, they should encourage more participation.
Yeah, that's a good point, though. That's a good point for Jerry Serino.
Right.
Serino is just saying, hey, don't even give the people the opportunity to vote. He should be saying, and all the lawmakers should be saying, hey, we're in favor of getting it on the ballot, and then let the people decide what they want. That's a good point. And they should not, there's not one politician that should be saying that it shouldn't get on the ballot because that's not the American way.
Exactly. And I don't care. It's freedom of speech. It's the First Amendment principle. I mean, this is a foundational American principle, and everybody that comes to my table understands that. All the people that come to my table, well, the majority of them, and I've converted some, I'd have to say, but majority of them, I don't even have to ask them to sign. They're like, get out of the way, let me sign. And then they tell their story. But they understand that this is a core principle of being an American, the right to own your property in this country, and that you can't be made homeless by domineering local government and throw you out of your home with no due process. There's no court to go to. There's no judge. There's no justice for the process.
You know, I also have one other question there, too, and that is when you buy any kind of an asset, you pay a sales tax, and that's it. Why is it with the house? Yeah. What would be wrong with this? We buy a house, $300,000 house. You pay the in Cuyahoga County 8% sales tax, $24,000. You pay that in addition, sales tax. You're done. It's like any other asset. You're done. You own it. That's it. Nothing else. All right, Jonathan. What do you think, man?
All right. I'm going to start by saying representative government. That is what we have That's what we must have. That's what we need. That's what we crave. Everybody out there who's frustrated, and actually that really covers the broad spectrum, except for the social communists. And they're, 18% of the U.S. or whatever they are. Everyone else wants to have a voice in government. So this very notion of saying don't sign the petition, don't give it to the people to vote on, is absolutely horrendously awful. What these people are saying, if what I'm hearing is correct, and we've got Rodney Creech and Jerry Serino saying, no, go out there and block the will of the people, block the voice of the people. That speaks directly to that frustration, that it's just this underlying theme throughout. It's this gut feeling throughout the United States and Ohio that we're not heard. So if we're out here struggling and feeling like we're not heard, and we're sending people into politics, and they suddenly get these blinders on and they get noise canceling headphones that just hum some other tune in their ears, and we lose our voice, that's infuriating. I'm going to give an example. So everyone who watches this show knows that I'm very involved with precinct strategy. So I've gotten involved in some local politics. There's somebody locally who I really, really butted heads with within the Republican Party. And before I knew it, one of the next times I interacted with him, he had a clipboard with his petition to run for office. Did I sign it? Absolutely. I'm not sure if I like or dislike. I may really dislike the guy, but I'm signing that gosh darn petition because the voters decide, not me. I don't decide to block him from being able to run for office. That, for me, is an extreme example. It's a local example, and it's the way everybody needs to think. We need to shift our thinking about the way that government runs and stop waiting for somebody else to dictate what ends up on those ballots that we go and fill out, and we start deciding. And I'm talking this issue and many, many beyond it. We need to quickly, easily, and repeatedly get things into our system of government that expresses the voice and the will of we the people. Now, I'm going to throw in one other thing, and that is this wish that I have. I end up doing a lot of video, and I share it through an online it's a private web resource where I share it out to different media outlets. I'm wondering if Ohio Political News or Axe the Tax or Lobbyists for Citizens or somebody has something similar, because you know what I'd like to find is those stories. Set up the camera, and when Wade is out there, and people like Wade all over the state of Ohio, capture those, because those are gold. Those stories like Brian was able to capture of this elderly woman who's losing her home. She stands the risk of losing her lifetime dream in her home in Lake County. I say get thousands and tens of thousands of those from all over the state, because that's gold. When the left come out with their, if we don't do it's going to be World War III if we abolish Ohio taxes, whatever. They'll come out with some nonsense. The counter to that is going to be a parade of those videos of real people in Ohio struggling and losing their homes.
Jonathan, it's amazing that you just said that. I was going to tell everyone that this Wednesday I will be traveling to Cincinnati area, and I will be recording a gentleman who was a veteran, I think 82-year-old veteran, who contacted me and gave me his story about losing his home. And I asked him if I may come down there to his home and record him so that we can get that message across to the people. And if there are others, I'm willing to travel anywhere to record that. Jonathan, I agree completely. I think those are very effective. I don't know if it will tug at the heartstrings of a Jerry Serino or a Rodney Creech, but I know for the voters it can be very impactful. So I would agree 100% with that, Jonathan. And Wade, we really appreciate your efforts, and I'm going to make it a personal mission to meet you in the next few weeks, okay?
Yeah, he's not that
Yeah,
far.
thank you
He's
for
out
your
in
willingness to
Madison.
do that,
Big
Brian.
fan. Big
Just in
fan of yours.
Madison.
Thank you, sir, for all your efforts. I can't be more thankful. But I'd like to say one more thing about this issue. I don't care what the politicians do or want at this point, because they have no effect on us now. This is a nuclear bomb across the bow. This is a public standing up and demanding and making a law that they have to abide by. But the interesting thing about conversations at the table, I'll say like not 90% of the people, I don't have to sell anything. They tell me why they're signing, and these are not heartless people. These are people that are struggling, and they see their neighbors losing their home. They see people going homeless, and they are spent. They're I don't like to say they're broke, but people are getting to the point where 70% increase on their property tax is really breaking the camel's back. Now, the people that sit down at my table that think I hate kids and I'm against schools, and these are the hearts we have to change now, because they never hear our side of the story. They never hear our perspective on the situation. They say, I hate kids because I don't want to pay property tax. No, I love children, and I'm all for paying for or helping them to succeed. But what I'm not willing to do is I'm not willing to drive the 86-year-old veteran from Cincinnati out of his home to pay for your kid's education. And I'm not willing to drive my neighbor, Mrs. Jones, out of her house to pay for your ideas of spending. When I like to use this phrase, when you lose your job or when your neighbor loses his job, it's a recession. But when you lose your job, it's a depression. The perspective of the situation, when you're losing your home and you're losing everything, there's no other issue more important than that when you're going to be made homeless. And that's the severity of this situation that these politicians just don't understand. People are working and still can't make it. And the idea that our government will throw you out and you have no recourse or no redress on the situation. So when people come to me with the attitude that I'm bad and I hate kids, and the first thing I tell them is that, I'm not willing to drive Mrs. Jones out of her house to pay for these pet projects.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Yeah.
And even the opponents open their eyes and say, the first thing they say, I'm going to look into it. And people have signed. And they say, well, I never looked at it that way. I said, yeah, there's solutions that can be made. And they've had years to come up with solutions, at least some kind of tax relief for seniors or veterans or disabled or somebody, young families. But they've just ignored the issue for years. Now we're at a breaking point with a 70% increase, and the people have found a solution. Thank God for Brian and this solution. It's the ultimate solution. I was so mad I was going to run for auditor. But when I found this project, I said, forget it. Forget auditor. This puts power into the hands of the people.
Yeah, this is really doing something. This is something important for everybody. Hey, Brian, I got one last question for you to wrap it up tonight. And that is, somebody put up a question in the chat. I don't know if Ken can put it back up, but in essence, the question was, like Serino and these lawmakers, they're telling us, are they against ending property taxes because they would then have to work hard to figure out funding what these taxes currently fund? You think that's the reason they're saying can it?
No.
They just don't want to do it.
I think they're elitist and they can't think outside the box. The schools, as it slowly, I recommend a video. Have you ever watched Waiting for Superman? It's a video about a guy that becomes a teacher. Anyways, the story, he talks about the education, the NEA. But he was crying because he was being evicted from his house. And he told his mom, we could always call Superman. And the mom says, there's no such thing as Superman. And he started crying. And the mom said, are you crying because there's no Superman? He said, no, I'm crying because now there's no hope. And the problem with these elitists and these politicians, they can't think outside the box. They can only see brick and mortar. They can't see change. They can't come up with a creative solution to educate our children.
Yeah, they got to come up. They got to come up with that creative solution. But I want to ask Brian that same question. I mean, do you think that is the reason they're so against it?
Well, the reason that they like property taxes is it can be easily manipulated. They can do a lot of reverse engineering. The state knows how much the school budgets, how much the money the schools need, because each school district gives the state 3-5 year projection, and they know in order to get that cash what the property values need to be in every district. I think a lot of that goes in there, but they're also, the school unions are also contributing to a lot of these politicians to their campaign funds. But remember what Ron Young told us, we shouldn't forget this. The two top priorities of government is to protect itself and to grow. The two top priorities of any elected official is to protect themselves and get reelected. And how did they get reelected? Unfortunately, money is at the root of all of our problems. And no one is thinking about the average citizen. They're worried about their donor base. I've had representatives tell me that, Brian, I can only support you privately, I can't support you publicly. Well, when I hear that, that tells me because they're worried that their donor base will be upset with them and won't continue the campaign contributions. It's time that we starve the beast, and we're telling everyone, like Wade and all of the other super circulators that we have in the state, keep collecting signatures, keep sending them to us, to our post office box, so that we can process them. And we're going to keep the pedal to the metal, as they say. And so these politicians, they better worry that if we get it on the ballot in November, it's going to pass, that we're going to starve the beast and eliminate property taxes in Ohio. I'm positive about that.
All right, great. Thanks, Brian. Thank you, Wade. Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you, guys. Have a good evening. God bless you all. We're going to wrap it up here.
Bye, Wade.
Good night.
Good night, Al.
See you now.